The Sierra Vista City Council meeting for 11 March 2021. I'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Rick Mueller.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Rachel Bray.
Present.
Councilmember William Benning.
Present.
Councilmember Greg Johnson.
Present.
Councilmember Angelica Landry.
Present.
Councilmember Sarah Pacheco. Councilmember Carolyn Humphrey.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Mrs. Adams. Tonight we'll start with, as we usually do, with the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. The invocation will be led by Pastor Greg Rolls of God is Good Church, and the pledge will be led by Councilwoman Pacheco. Please rise.
Bow your hearts with me. Father God, it's in the name of Jesus we come before you right now. Lord, we come to tell you thank you. Thank you for life and life abundantly. Father, right now I ask you to bless all those here at this meeting right now. Special prayer for our mayor and our mayor pro temp and all the city council members. Bless what they put their hands to, Lord. Give them supernatural wisdom from on high. Let them do, Father, everything above board, Lord, for the sake and the concern of the citizens of this community. Father, right now I pray, Lord, that they'd work in unity and oneness together. God, right now, that they would do everything out in the open, always putting the citizens of Sierra Vista first and foremost. God, right now, keep us safe and sound through these rough and tough times right now. Bless the small businesses. Bless our police chief and our fire chief, all those that work with them. Bless all those who serve. God, we need you more than ever right now. Keep all harm from each and every one. Also bless their families. Bless this community. Let us prosper and grow, and let us be a light to those who round about us. We'll give you all the praise and glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Thank you, Pastor, and thank you, Councilwoman Pacheco. We now move to item number 1. Ms. Humphrey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the agenda for the regular City Council meeting of March 11th, 2021 be approved.
It's been moved and seconded. Any additions, corrections, comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. We now go on to awards and presentations. We have a distinguished member of our community who's going to present to us tonight. So I would ask Dr. J.D. Rottweiler, president of Cochise College, to come forward for his presentation. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Madam Pro Tem, members of the council, Mr. Petusik. Thank you for the opportunity to come and to really share, similar to the invocation, the college's thanks for an amazing partnership and the things that we do together. And I wanted to just take this opportunity to give you a briefing on just some of the partnership things that we have working together. As you might guess, we've been educating through the throes of a pandemic, which is an interesting thing and something that none of us have a playbook on. But we have seen that, like so many other things, a pandemic, which may be a crisis, provides us opportunities. And it reminds me a little bit of the Japanese word for crisis is kiki, and it's made up of two key words. The first one is kiken, which is danger, and the second one is kikai, or opportunity, and you merge those things together. And that's really where we've been striving to work over the past 12 months, but we've also come to realize that while we're balancing danger, we must recognize the opportunities, and we have seen that really play out at Cochise College, and we've come to recognize that those opportunities we have in partnership is what sets us apart. I want to talk a little bit about the partnership specifically with the city of Sierra Vista and provide you significant thanks around some of those areas. So the first one is the Southeast Arizona Law Enforcement Training Academy, which is a partnership between Cochise College, the Cochise County Sheriff's Office, and the Sierra Vista Police Department. And my thanks goes to Chief Thrasher for his leadership in helping us provide this unique opportunity. We set it up with really the goal of trying to educate and provide an academy for those that are local, and recognize that we can provide a special touch to it that will allow us to prepare law enforcement professionals to work in Cochise County with many of our unique situations. And the city of Sierra Vista, through Chief Thrasher, provides resource training officers. And so they become kind of the the academy counselors and assistants, if you will, as they go through that 19-week training academy. One thing I wanted the city to be aware of is out of those 47, the 40 that have completed and the 7 that are currently in there, 8 of those are currently working in Sierra Vista Police Department. So nearly 20% of all the graduates of the police academy are currently working for the city. You have one that's in the academy right now, and talking with Chief Thrasher, you have potentially another one who is self-sponsored. And I might mention the college is working with the Army as getting our academy recognized as one where soldiers can transition into the police academy, and hopefully one of our local law enforcement agencies can pick them up as a way to really enhance the workforce. Another area where I want to give thanks is related to our fire science and emergency medical services program. You'll notice down there in the bottom left, the fire engine that the city so generously provided to our fire academy. And it is going right now to train the next generation of fire professionals. I will mention in talking with Chief Jones, currently about 70% of your employees who work in the fire and emergency service department have their training from Cochise College. That's really the vision of how partnerships come together. We're training people locally, they have local ties, they tend to stay locally. And we think that's important not only for our workforce development, but for our economic development, and most importantly for our community development. You'll also notice in the bottom right, the ambulance that the city donated a number of years ago that we use actively to really prepare and train people to come into this essential area. We talk about danger, the need for emergency medical professionals and fire service really played out. When the governor did the lockdown, I called the governor's office and asked for permission for us to complete 3 programs, and those were our police academy, our fire science, and our EMT and paramedicine. Those positions were needed during a crisis because of the danger, and we believe we had the opportunity to help move that forward. I'll also mention our nursing program is doing amazing things. Right now they are working in conjunction with the fire departments, both with Fry as well as the city, in providing vaccinations. We worked with the state nursing board, and they've provided and allowed that to be counted as clinical hours. As a reminder, we've seen the amazing things that have happened in nursing. They're needed. They're in high demand right now. As you might guess, the stress load on many healthcare professionals is significant, and many people are choosing to leave the field right now. The need for those replacements is significant. Over 80% of current practicing nurses in Cochise County have received their training at Cochise College. It's a partnership between our local healthcare providers, the college, and our communities. The one I also wanted to share a little bit is residential construction trades. This one's a unique partnership between the city, the county, American Southwest Credit Union, Castle & Cook, Pioneer Title, and Sierra Vista Realty. This is where we see opportunities come together and amazing things happen. The city provided, and you've probably seen these photos before, going back to 2016, the amazing work that the city did to try to talk about community development, where you worked through the process and acquired 2 lots, and actually 3 lots that came in there. And you can see how they looked in 2016 when you took them over. The city then did an enormous amount of work, and in about 2018, this is what it looked like. I was out there earlier this week, and this is what it looks like. There are currently 2 homes that are completed. The 3rd home that you see there actually has its siding on it. I will say they have sold rapidly when they've come on the market. The one had 5 offers within the first 2 days, the most recent one, and the individuals who were not successful in the 2nd home asked if they could pre-purchase. And we said, no, we probably can't do a pre-purchase because in a pandemic, we're not sure if we'll get it completed. I'm happy to report that program has continued on. You will see those homes continue to develop through Pioneer Title, and also with the city. We have a number of other lots that we will look at in future years to try to continue to do community development. This is a win-win for everyone, provides affordable family housing in a neighborhood that we're trying to get revitalized, and it puts properties back on the tax rolls. It's really a win-win for everyone involved. There are some other areas where we're seeing really the advancement and moving forward. One of those is in cyber and virtual reality. About 2 years ago, we hosted 7 legislators to come down. The city, through Tony Boone and I, participated in welcoming them into our community. We toured them around Fort Huachuca, and we talked about some economic initiatives. And one of those centers around virtual reality. We think we have an opportunity to become a center of excellence and really provide some economic opportunities in this emerging area. And I will tell you, we were very close to having a business move their headquarters to the United States. From Canada. Were it not for the pandemic, we would probably be there right now. We will continue those discussions as their supply chains open up and as more international things happen. We think we can do some things collectively by creating an incubator environment within the college where they can work directly with our students, do projects, hire them directly as we move forward. The other area you see in there is cyber. You know all about cyber. The college has applied and will probably soon receive its NSA accreditation. It's an amazing partnership we have with the University of Arizona through the College of Applied Science and Technology. And we're seeing some real things happen there, not only to protect Fort Huachuca, but to look at other areas where we can expand economic opportunities. Then I wanted to publicly thank the mayor. He made it to a ribbon cutting in January. It was difficult to do ribbon cuttings during a pandemic, but I did want the council to know the college did open a brand new automotive technology building. We've seen that program grow through partnerships with Lawley Motors and others as we've moved from really not very good facilities into an adequate facility on Highway 92, which we've outgrown, and we're now in a state-of-the-art facility that I think will prepare future auto mechanics to work. And as I tell people all the time, when you live in southern Arizona, there's a couple things you have to have. And the college needs to make sure we're always providing those. One is access to health care. We do that through our nursing and allied health. Another one is in heating, air conditioning, and ventilation. We have an amazing program where they're getting hired before they graduate. And the other is we've got to have access to trained technicians to keep our automobiles running as distance is always a matter. So with that, we've tried to take the attitude as good partners to talk about leaving nothing for tomorrow, which can be done for today. It can only be done today if you have good partners. And the city is an amazing partner for us as we move forward. I did want to just share with you one other part that I think the city would be interested in knowing. The college really rose to the challenge when the pandemic hit. We donated all of our PPE, our personal protective equipment, to the healthcare providers, and you can see some of that going out. One that many people didn't know, we also had 11 ventilators, and those were made available through the county emergency services. And off of that, I received a text from the hospital CEO in December just saying, JD, I want you to know that one of your ventilators is saving the life of a community member. Now, while that broke my heart that was necessary, I was glad to know that the community can rally together, whether that be city government, whether it be a community college, whether it be our local healthcare providers. We're making a difference, and our partnerships is really what sets Sierra Vista apart and moves us in some unique ways. So for us, every day's a new day. We'll keep trying to hit it as hard as we can as we work to provide those educational opportunities that lead to those three key things that we always talk about: constructive citizenship, meaningful careers, and lifelong learning. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to give the thanks on behalf of the Cochise College Governing Board, all of our faculty, staff, and students. We appreciate the partnership, and we recognize the great leadership you provide for our community, and we're happy to partner with you. And I'm happy to answer any questions anybody may have.
Before I open it up for council, I do have a couple things for you, JD. First, I want to say I agree with you. We've got great partnerships. We're open to new partnerships and anything we can help you with. We really appreciate the housing efforts and cleaning up a part of town that definitely needs some help and still needs some help. And I know we still have some lots in our inventory, so whenever you're ready to move on those, we'll be right there in step with you. The police and fire academies are critical for us. As you know, we have challenges with recruiting and a few other things, and if we can grow our own, that's the way to go. And you really have helped us with that. We're open to future discussions, obviously, on other things like the cyber and that kind of thing. It's some exciting news. I think this is the first time it's been mentioned in public that you had a Canadian firm kind of lined up. So we appreciate your help with economic development. And the last thing I want to ask you is, I might have missed it, but I think the House and Senate both approved 4-year programs for colleges. Did that get signed by the governor?
So I had not heard through the Senate. It did come through the House with really an overwhelming vote. Last I'd heard it, and it may have been earlier this week, it was scheduled to go through the Senate Education Committee. I've not heard the finalization on that. So we're anxious to kind of see where that moves and where that goes.
Well, I'm going to put in a bid on part of the community. When I used to take my dad to the hospital for short stays way back in the day, we had a number of young ladies that had gotten their RN, but didn't have their Bachelor of Science to go along with it. And the University of Arizona and NAU, as well as Arizona State, were very protective of that. With the challenges and the needs of rural RNs with a BS degree, I would hope that you're seriously looking at a BS in nursing program for the college in the near future, a 4-year degree.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Clearly, that would be one of those areas that we would look at. We want to continue our strong partnership with the University of Arizona and with the College of Applied Science and Technology. I actually had discussions with Dr. Packard yesterday related to some of these initiatives, and we'll look for those ways. We want to provide the services. For us, it's not where they get their education, it's can they get their education. And we've got to recognize that with the whole changes in the world of work that we've been seeing, and clearly the pandemic has just escalated many of those things, we've got to be prepared to train not only traditional students, returning adults, but really this large group of individuals who may have started a degree and never finished. And as the world of work changes, as automation and those things come in, we've got to be prepared to provide short-term training that really allows people to succeed in the new economy. So we think that would be a nice tool to have in our toolbox. We'll just see where that goes.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to 4-year degrees at Cochise College. Anything I can do to help support that, I'll be willing to. Any comments, questions?
Yes, Mr. Mayor said pretty much everything, but I'm going to go to 2 points. One, I'm a proud Cochise College alumni, so, that's always a good thing. And 93.3 on the National Council of Licenses for exam is outstanding. I want to say the state average is below 80. So for people that don't understand, it's huge. It's a hard test. So good job, and it shows what your school and what the instructors are doing. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Benning. I will mention one of the things we've learned when we talk about opportunities. So when the pandemic really set in, we really were reduced in our clinical opportunities. So we worked hard with the State Board of Nursing and implemented some virtual simulations. We know they can't replace a clinical experience, but we found that by doing a virtual scenario, which is why we're talking so heavily in virtual reality, you can repeat the same scenario over and over and over again, which then makes it come to life in the clinical thing. In a clinical setting, you can only do the same procedure so many times on the same patient. So what we found is our test scores actually went up by implementing some virtual labs. So that's something we have learned as an opportunity that will continue in our program. And thank you for recognizing we actually have one of the highest test rates on first thing in the entire state. But who's bragging?
I'll brag for you. It's a hard test. It's a hard exam.
Anybody else? Comment? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I just thank you for the presentation. You did. I had to choose on Thursday to listen to you and wait tonight, so I waited and didn't listen to you all that much on last Tuesday. At a luncheon, but great presentation. And I'd just like to say thank you. I think that I'm very proud to live in Sierra Vista, and I always tell people when they ask where I'm from, I use Cochise College as a reference point because a lot of people know it. And I think a lot of people know my sister is the Deputy Director of Admissions at University of Southern Mississippi in Hattiesburg. She's now Dr. Clement recently, so we're very proud of that. But she always speaks so highly of the transfer students clear across the country coming from Cochise and enrolling at USM. So you're known everywhere, and it's always positive. And so we're very grateful to have you in our community.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Madam Pro Tem. And I will just say if the college needs to really be viewed as an asset by you in all of your areas. If we're not on the front page of any of your recruiting or materials, we dang well better be on the second page. And if we're not, then I have failed in my leadership.
Come slap us.
Please know that we take great pride in being Cochise Community College. Community is our middle name. We mean that sincerely. And as if the community's successful, hopefully it's because we've been successful, and that's really what we've tried to do. So appreciate your time. Thank you so much, and I wish you lots of luck in your deliberations as you move our city forward.
Thank you, Dr. Rottweiler. We're looking forward to continued partnership. I'm very proud of our college. All right, we'll now move on to city manager's report. Mr. Patuchik.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Mueller. Members of the council, your next regularly scheduled work session is scheduled on March 23rd. That's Tuesday, and that will be here in the council chambers at 3 p.m. Of course, your next council meeting will follow 2 days after on Thursday, the 25th, 5 p.m. here in the council chambers. And that week, you'll be engaged in strategic planning at various times, and those will all be occurring at Fire Station number 3, and you have that schedule. Those are public meetings. A few projects tonight. The airport apron and taxiway J rehab project bids are due actually March 16th, next week at 2 p.m., so we'll be moving out on that pretty soon. The street maintenance, pavement patching, crack, and sand seal project, we added a little bit to the scope of work there, so we extended our bid date to March 19th. And then that project will continue shortly thereafter. The Soldier Creek Park and James Landward Plaza Improvements Project, which is a community development block grant funded, was started with K&G, and you probably, if you drive by there, you'll see equipment mobilized, and that will be underway, so that's a good thing. The police department locker room remodel, the final design documents are being submitted to the building department, and we estimate a start date in April. And then the state parks grant, St. Andrews parking lot project is wrapping up, and there's actually another grant application opportunity for about $150,000 that we hope to be able to apply for and get to help those projects along as well. So that's all I have tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Patuchik. Any questions for Mr. Patuchik on this report?
No.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Chuck. We now move on to item 2, Mr. Benning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the consent agenda consisting of the regular city council meeting minutes of February 25th, 2021, and Resolution 2021-016, final plat for Holiday at Pueblo del Sol, Phase 5 Bravo, lots 30 through 59, subdividers agreement and improvement security be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions on the consent agenda? Okay, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. We now move on to public hearings. Mr. McLaughlin, or excuse me. Yeah, Mr. McLaughlin, you have a presentation.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. The purpose of today's public hearing is to consider applications for next year's allotment of community development block grant funding. The amount we're expecting to receive is $254,678, which is a 6.3% decrease over last year's allocation. The preliminary guidance that we received from you this evening will be factored into the annual action plan that will be presented to you at your second meeting in April, followed by a 30-day public comment period. The final draft will be presented on May 27th for submission to HUD. As presented at your work session on Tuesday, staff's recommended use of the funds is as follows: $174,678 for public facility improvements at Eddie Sear Park. This will allow us to construct the parking lot that was shown on the Phase 2 master plan for Eddie Sear Park in one phase, which will save the city money. The parking lot is needed to accommodate tournaments that are taking place on the new sports fields. $50,000 for housing rehabilitation through the city-administered emergency home repair program. This would provide low-income homeowners within the city limits to receive grant funding for emergency repairs to substandard conditions as well as accessibility improvements. The proposed funding will get us halfway to the $100,000 goal established in the consolidated plan. $15,000 for neighborhood stabilization activities. This would augment our abatement fund to carry out blight removal activities and provide fee waivers for roll-off containers to assist low-income homeowners with cleanup projects. Finally, $15,000 for outside nonprofit agency assistance. This amount is consistent with historic funding levels outside of the special funding provided for COVID-19 relief. This year, we've received 3 applications that are provided in your agenda packet. 2 are for projects and 1 is for program services. I've asked the applicants to keep their presentations brief and be available for questions. The Southwest Fair Housing Council has asked to participate remotely by telephone, and with your permission, Mayor, I would ask them to present first, followed by Good Neighbor Alliance, and then St. Vincent de Paul.
That's good, Matt. I don't have a problem with that. I don't think the council has a problem with them going first since they're on the phone. But we did get a briefing from you on this item, and I want to ask the council if they have any discussion for you on the infrastructure facility improvements, the housing rehabilitation, or the neighborhood stabilization money, or is there any discussion? Does everybody understand what we're doing with those, what the proposal is for those things? You everybody good?
I just have a question going into the 3 nonprofits more than anything. So I would love this. You said.
Well, why don't you go ahead before we start with profits?
Any money's not granted, does that come back to us or go back to the CDBG? So for instance, if we didn't give 32,000 to St. Vincent de Paul, where's that money go? It's just not allocated anywhere, or does that make sense?
Okay. So, Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Benning, the city's staff proposal earmarks $15,000 for outside nonprofits. If you were to go above that figure, we would have to adjust one of the other projects to accommodate that amount.
So what the proposal is, if you got your paper here, we've got 174 plus for public facilities, housing rehabilitation services, 15 for, that's 50. Provision of needed services, 15, and neighborhood stabilization for 15. And basically the way this works is, in fact, if we decide, we could in fact decide to fund all the applicants, but if we do that, we need to be able to tell Matt where we're gonna adjust. And that's really the gist of our discussion if we decide not to follow staff recommendation. Is that clear?
Yes,
Clear as mud?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Everybody up to speed?
Yeah, I just have one question.
Yes,
for
ma'am.
Matt, I know that we have a 7,500 cap on applicant for the emergency home repairs. But do we have people in the queue? I know we have a lot of people, I'm sure, in the queue, but do we have an average? I know 7,500 is the cap, but how many people are we expecting to help? Sorry, that was a long way to get to that question.
Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Gray, we allocated the same amount in 2017, and I believe we assisted 12 homeowners.
12, okay. Thank you.
I had a question for Mr. McLaughlin. The cap, why is it 7,500 instead of maybe 5,000 or 3,500? Or I'm trying to help as many people as possible. I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, we modeled it after other emergency home repair programs. That figure can be adjusted if you want to try to reach more residents. It's not set in stone.
Just a thought.
Okay.
Chuck?
Mr. Mayor, one of the, real issues with declining CDBG, revenues, and it appears that trend will probably continue in the future, is, council had expressed a desire in the past to, try to get some badly needed infrastructure projects in these low to moderate income areas. And for the most part, we've been successful in doing that. However, costs of materials, labor for such projects are going up. So, clearly we can, change the allocation per, the council's desires for either the emergency repair programs or for the other nonprofits that are in. But it really, absolutely inhibits our ability to do any infrastructure projects as we eat into those funds. And you really won't get much done, with that otherwise.
I have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
I guess this is more of a general fund question for Chuck. On the neighborhood stabilization, that if we go forward with this, the 15,000, that would help offset the abatement fund in the general fund, correct?
Well, it's a different type of program because it's geared towards these
Low to mod, right.
income things. Certainly, any of these things, you can budget general funds, for those purposes like you do with abatement. You're not restricted in that way, but, this
So-
program kind of lends itself to CDBG, though.
Right, but it's basically abatement, so it would just help us to boost that somewhat. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think we're ready for Southwest Fair Housing. They hung up on us? Oh.
Again, her name is Tasha Lynch.
Well, I'm not having any luck here.
Remember, must now dial 1 plus your air.
Technology's great until it's not. Yep, coffee break.
That's what I'm thinking.
I'll get it in a minute.
Hello, this is Tasha.
Sasha?
Tasha.
Tasha? This is Mayor Rick Mueller calling from Sierra Vista. Are you the one that's going to present your application today?
I am. Thank you so much for giving me a call.
Could I ask you to state your name and spell it for us, please, so we got it properly for the record?
My name is Tasha Lynch with Southwest Fair House.
Tasha, can you still hear us?
I can.
Okay, you're coming in a little weak in a couple spots. You kind of tail off at the end. We're at that position in our meeting tonight where you have the opportunity to present your project to us. And then once you do that, we'll ask you some questions. So if you would go ahead, please.
Sure. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate you letting us call in. Our agency is just still operating under a policy where we're doing everything remotely right now. So thank you again. I am an enforcement specialist with the Southwest Fair Housing Council, and I guess I'll start going a little bit over our agency in case there's anyone that's not familiar with us. We're the only fully funded statewide FIT agency in Arizona, so we're predominantly funded by HUD, and we've been fully funded for a little over 30 years, and our mission is to provide services to achieve and preserve equal access to housing for all people, with the vision of eliminating all forms of illegal housing discrimination. We do that, in a nutshell, in a few different ways. We have an enforcement department, an education and outreach department. We promote, affirmatively furthering fair housing and access to opportunity. And then also in this last year, we've developed, a COVID-19 and housing response that I'll talk a little bit more about coming up here. So we do serve the entire state of Arizona, but I'll kind of pick apart how our funding, we serve the whole state in certain ways, but also partnerships like this are really key for us to expand our impact in different communities. So on the enforcement side, we enforce the Fair Housing Act. We enforce the federal statutes, which are statutorily equivalent to the state. Certain communities do have additional protections that we work with, but in regards to Sierra Vista, it would largely just be the federal act and state. So on the enforcement side, people can contact us with their fair housing issues, and we evaluate their situation. We have a referral program where we can refer people to different organizations statewide if we're really not the agency to be able to help them. Otherwise, if it seems like we can conduct an intake and take their case on. We do fair housing investigations with a testing program. So that means we can help people investigate or develop evidence to support their fair housing claim. So we do that complaint-based testing if a client has contacted us. And that really strengthens the enforcement action we can take. On the other hand, we also just do systemic testing. I don't want to really say that that's random because, there's things that go into our planning of systemic testing, but it's not based on necessarily someone calling us with a specific complaint. We do a lot of that in the rental market, but we also can look into like the home buying process, sales, lending, insurance, accessibility with design and construction testing. We look a lot into mobile homes. So there's a lot of different types of testing we can do. We've also recently had a prisoner reentry initiative where we look for communities that have blanket bans on people with a criminal background or people that are using criminal background policies as a proxy for racial or national origin discrimination. We've worked a lot with different refugee organizations to look into issues they have. And then actually probably our largest element we work with in fair housing investigations would be persons with disabilities. So whether that is helping someone get a reasonable accommodation or be able to advocate for themselves or potentially filing a fair housing complaint, disability violations tend to be the bulk of our work. And that's relatively consistent with national trends. So when we take enforcement action, if we find a fair housing violation, we're able to file a complaint with HUD or the Arizona Attorney General's office. We also have some attorneys we work with, so we can file lawsuits. And all of our services are always free to clients. And like I said, we can do this statewide. So right now, we are serving, Sierra Vista residents with these services. On the education outreach side, we do have a pretty robust program that involves different types of training. We have a real estate school that can provide continuing education units to real estate agents and property managers. We participate in events, we develop and distribute literature, and we've started to develop a really broad media side that does a lot of digital media as well as placing like print PSAs and things like that. As far as our COVID response, we've developed a section of our website dedicated to housing related COVID resources, as well as just more broad resources, that are applicable statewide or community-wide. We have a referral section for when people call us. And then also just, we've really been able to adjust the way we've delivered our programs and our grants over the last year to still be able to meet all of our grant deliverables despite, the difficulties everyone's experienced, continuing their programs over this last year. So to get more specifically into what we are proposing to do in Sierra Vista, while we are funded to provide fair housing services statewide, such as, our work with the clients, and investigations, we aren't necessarily funded to conduct targeted outreach and media that really raises that community awareness of fair housing rights, responsibilities, and our services to generate a lot of, just calls and awareness and getting people into our program. So that's really what this proposal is about. We'd like to do 2 PSAs. They can be print or different forms of digital media. We'd certainly be open to talking to, you all staff, and, if there's recommendations or places they think it would be most appropriate to place these. When we do digital media PSAs, one thing we've been able to do is utilize geofencing to target specific locations in the community. So if there is a neighborhood or area that's of specific concern, we can use that. We can also focus them on any protected class. So whether that be the disability community, Spanish speakers, families with children, anything that you would feel is of specific concern, we can tailor the program to that. We'd also, it really looks like we'll be able to be back in person at some point in this next year. So we'd love to do an in-person event or clinic down there in Sierra Vista. But if that's not possible, we've developed this Facebook Live option to do an event. We can do these in English or Spanish, and again, focus on any protected class, and we can include partners in them. And the great thing about that is that these events that we've done to meet our other in-person event grant deliverables have actually generated like thousands of views. So in the end, we feel as though despite not being able to be there in person, we might potentially be reaching more people than we otherwise, would have. Generally, we don't get, thousands of people coming to events that we put together the way that we're able to get in these Facebook Live events. And then we'd also like to include 2 trainings, and those can be for consumers, housing providers, agencies, other advocacy organizations. We really see the trainings as a good way to try to build some partnerships within the community. And so, with this media campaign, we would hope that there would be an increase in calls to our office. And like I've said, we're funded to provide any sort of fair housing counseling and complaint assistance, and potential testing that might arise from this program. And, I guess just in closing, before any questions you might have, we just really believe that, effective fair housing enforcement and outreach, requires this sustained effort to educate people about their rights and provide services to those that are experiencing discrimination. We know discrimination is ongoing and underreported, so it's really partnerships like these in communities that we feel like are, key to helping us reach our mission and build more equitable communities.
Is your presentation complete?
Yes, but I am open to any questions.
Thank you very much. You're going to start with me today. The money that you're asking for, the $10,000, is specifically for a media campaign. That's correct, right?
Yes.
And in that, there's 2 PSAs, a virtual training, and a Facebook outreach, I guess. Are you aware of an organization?
2 trainings.
Yeah. Are you aware of an organization called the Southeast Arizona Governments Organization?
Yes.
And that's known as SEGO. And within the last 2 years, they've basically done some trainings in town. And their organization does that as part of their normal operation when we request the assistance. Really the question in my mind is, why should we pay an additional $10,000 for services we're already receiving?
I mean, and that's certainly a valid concern. The bulk of the funding ends up going to media placements. I guess I don't know how they're able to do something like that, without a cost.
What I'm saying is I say an additional cost. We are members of SEGO, and they have budget, they run a regular government budget.
Okay, and so, the value added, I guess, with our organization would be that we're able to provide the additional, enforcement services and testing services when calls and inquiries are generated to our organization.
And we basically, as a city, when we get complaints, we go through those same organizations that you do as well. We may not have the expertise or whatever, but again, we contact those folks to help the citizens and the landlords with complaints. So I'll open it up for any other comments or questions from folks. Yes, sir.
Thank you for your presentation, ma'am. My name is Gregory Johnson. I'm a council member. My question is, how many cases of discrimination has your organization uncovered in Sierra Vista and brought to conclusion by either settlement or lawsuit in the year 2020?
And that would be 0, which is one of the reasons why we would, feel as though we would like to get more information into the community on fair housing rights and responsibilities.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
It's kind of along the line, this is Sarah Pacheco, council member. Along the lines of the mayor's question, are you currently working with any organizations in this area on fair housing? We have a number of organizations down here that work on housing initiatives. Are you working with any local organizations currently?
I actually do not believe in this last, I don't want to say 2 for sure, but in the last 2 years, we have not. But previous to that, we were very involved in we have received some funding to work with VASH and veterans programs. And in that, we did a significant amount of work in Sierra Vista and some fair housing training down there with the veteran community.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
First, I'd like to say, Ms. Tasha, thank you for presenting, and thank you for reaching out to Sierra Vista. I get the concept. And going off of what the mayor said and Ms. Pacheco, another organization down here that does good on PSAs and getting some words out is the County Housing Authority. And they dip into some things, so I'd suggest maybe getting a hold of them and seeing what extra budgets they have from their grants to help with that process where you can file in suit and work with them. I just don't see a good return on investment for Sierra Vista at this time. Maybe going forward, once there's a couple more cases or caseloads where you could cite to us, but I do appreciate your time.
Yeah. Find
Thank
some
you.
partnerships first.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing no further discussion, I want to thank you for your application and considering helping us out in our community on this critical issue. And we're going to move on to the next applicant. You should be aware we have 3 applicants tonight. So thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is the Good Neighbor Alliance. Good Neighbor Alliance? Yeah, she's there. I thought she was.
I just didn't know who said.
Mr. Mayor, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, and council members, thank you very much for giving Good Neighbor Alliance the opportunity to appeal to you today. My name is Dr. Leah DeLuca. I am the program director and grant writer for the Good Neighbor Alliance. I'm here with Father Greg, who most of you know, who is our vice president. He's here to cheer me on to really to help finish begging. So, as you know, we are your only homeless shelter in Sierra Vista. We have opened our shelter doors in 2003. We serve approximately 23 to 25 participants and guests in our shelter proper that depends on the configuration. We have 5 family rooms where we will house women and families. We have 1 dorm with 8 beds for men. We have a hotel voucher program for folks that we might not be able to help stay in our shelter for a variety of reasons. We have bus passes. We have an outreach program where we go out to the all of Cochise County and visit folks in their camps, trying to establish rapport, and hopefully 3 and 4 and 5 contacts later, we may be able to convince them that it might be time to come on in. It's a program that's funded called the PathFoot program that works with seriously mentally ill. We have a rapid rehousing program that we work at helping people get housed. And we have a shower program where folks can come in on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday and shower. We have a laundry room, thanks to a grant that we were able to buy new washing machines and dryers for so that folks can come in and wash their clothes. And we have our kitchen, which is why I'm here today. Our kitchen opened in 2005, and it has been the exact same kitchen since 2005. We have had no renovations on this kitchen whatsoever. We serve 7 meals a week, 1 hot meal every single day of the week, plus a cold breakfast. We offer up the opportunity for those folks that are in our shower program to come and get something to eat while they're there showering or doing their laundry. We will open up to folks that are at risk, that we've identified at being at risk or on the very edge. Folks that we have been able to get into apartments, but for the first few weeks, they need to sort of sock away their money, so we'll make sure that they come and get a meal with us. And it works out to approximately 750-ish meals for the year. Our kitchen is a 100% volunteer run, and so we have been relying on the goodness of our community here in Sierra Vista to come and cook meals for us. Our food is 100% donated, and right now we're sort of in the position where our cabinets are kind of falling apart and our drawers will come out in your hands, and we have no dishwasher other than our very own hands. And we have a very limited pantry area. And so we have been in a position where we've had to turn away food that has come to us because we have had no place to put it. We tried to bag it up and give it away to folks that might be there, but we have had to actually turn some folks away that wanted to donate to us. Our presentation, our estimate comes back with, we are not being fancy in any of this at all. We're not asking for a whole lot. We're just looking to resurface and redo our upper and lower cabinetry, some new Formica countertops, fix our drawers so that they can actually go in and out, get ourselves an actual dishwasher, and install a 2-foot by 6-inch deep and a 7-inch tall, 16 inches long pantry area so that we can actually put away food. We're hoping to be able to keep our area nice and clean. It's very difficult to keep things clean when things are kind of falling apart. We have had a reduction in our volunteers because of COVID, and so we're working extra hard to make sure those folks that stuck with us and show up every night to take care of us, that we're trying to do something to take care of them. We have also opened up our kitchen to AA meetings, and so we have them once a week as well. And so we're hoping, I asked for the entire pie, I will tell you that, but we will take a piece, and we will be happy with a piece of the pie, and we will share the piece, just so that you know. But my job is to find and make sure that we can get this accomplished. So I will open that up to any questions you may have.
And I'm going to jump the queue again, Dr. DeLuca. I just want to start by saying thank you for all the things you do for our community. I know Father Greg and a number of other folks in our community worked long and hard to get this organization up and running, and you've done a great job for our community for many, many years. So thank you for that. I think the last time I was in your kitchen, I was there helping my youngest sister and her husband. They were one of your volunteer cooks, and I was trying to remember, are you required by the health department to have a commercial kitchen, or can you have a home style kitchen?
I don't know the answer to that because I do know they set up the commercial kitchen, so I don't know if it was a requirement because that was done well before my time. But I will
Well, the reason I
investigate
asked that
that.
question is obviously, if we're talking appliance, you mentioned a dishwasher. If we're talking appliances and other things that are commercial grade, they tend to be more expensive.
Yes, yep, they do.
And I want to make sure your request is accurate.
Okay.
That's my whole goal.
Okay, so I will we will
Well,
definitely.
and I'm glad you also answered my other question, which is, well, actually I had two other questions. One is, on one of the documents you say 300 and other people use it, and the other one you say 700, and my guess is it's probably more than the 700 figure you gave us.
300 counts on the number of people we reach out and touch throughout the years.
Throughout the year, but
yeah.
what we're really looking for is the 700 plus that are using the kitchen, and I
Yeah.
think that's important for everybody to know and understand. And you've already mentioned that if you can't get the whole shot, you're willing to take a little lower than that. Let's see, and that's all I had. So, questions?
I just want to, as someone that cooks often and eats often at Good Neighbor Alliance Shelter, you do need a new kitchen. I just want to make sure if a walk-in freezer is on that plan.
The walk-in freezer is not on that plan. We have new freezer.
New freezer, okay.
We have a new freezer.
That was my only question.
No, William's right. Having volunteered there for a number of years, you're in desperate need of a new kitchen. I still would have liked to see a breakdown, unless I got the wrong. Did we not get a budget breakdown of how much you anticipate to spend on each thing?
They didn't, I only have an estimate of the entire list, which I can leave behind and
Oh,
make
okay.
sure it
Yeah,
stays with
that's
you.
what I would like to
Yeah.
see.
Put that up on the- Can you put that up on
Can
the
you put it
screen?
on the projector
Yes,
for us? Because we haven't seen that.
And what's your?
He'll get it in a minute. He's got to turn it
I'll
off.
let you,
does
I'll
in
let
the
you get
back.
that.
You don't want me to touch anything electronic, trust me.
Oh, okay. Just scoot it down
Move it down a little bit.
Put it down.
That's what we wanted to
a
see.
little. Yeah.
There we
Good.
go.
Thank you.
There we are.
I think we got that document.
I don't see it.
And
I didn't see that.
I never saw that.
Okay.
do you also have a timeline of how long you think everything will take?
We know the money isn't going to be available until when November comes along, and so what our plan is to rearrange our shower programs and those kinds of programs to accommodate that renovation, and you know,
That's what I was
contract-
thinking. What
yeah.
you were gonna do with everyone who shows up while
yes.
you're remodeling.
So what we will probably end up having to do is setting up a separate area inside the
The other building.
in the other building
Okay.
and do some catering and taking food in.
Okay. I think that's all.
Mr. Johnson?
Dr. DeLuca, how many meals are provided on a daily basis, both breakfast and your hot meal as you described it?
It's going to depend on the number of people that are actually there. So we have 23 to 25, so that would be for the evening, and then 23 to 25 in the morning, and then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we'll have 10, 15 people show up for the shower program, and so we'll take care of those folks, 10 to 15-ish around there. We'll have folks that we've identified that can use a meal, so we'll bring those people in. So it worked out to about 750 meals for the entire year.
Okay.
Because it will all, just depends on who we can grab and reach out to.
All right, thank you.
And you've been at capacity pretty much for the last several months at least.
We have. We happen to have a lot of men's available today because all of our family rooms and such are filled up. We've actually had some additional families come with kids.
Okay. Any other questions for the good doctor? All right. Well, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you for your
And
consideration.
You're making life hard on us. You know that. Okay.
That's great.
Next, we have representatives from St. Vincent de Paul.
Scotty has some handouts.
Oh, great.
I'm here with Jim Scott, who's our grant writer, and Diane McDaniel, who's a fellow Vincentian. Good evening, My name is Pauline Fredericks, and I'm the Vice President of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul of the St. Andrew Conference here in Sierra Vista. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to acquiring a grant that we believe we need. I wanted to tell you a little bit about St. Vincent de Paul so that you can understand what goes on there, and then you'll see why we need it. We are located on Bartow and Fifth, and I wanted to say when someone asks me if I tell them I'm part of St. Vincent de Paul, they always think that I'm part of the thrift store. However, a lot of people don't realize that there's more than one part of St. Vincent de Paul. We've been operating for 47 years, and we're here to stay. The two main parts of St. Vincent de Paul are the food bank, plus what I refer to as the secret sauce is the conference or our main office that a lot of people don't know about. I want you to imagine something. You're very distraught because you've run out of food. You have 4 children under the age of 13. You don't have any money to pay your rent or your utility bills. In fact, you're sitting in the dark. You might even don't even have a roll of toilet paper. You lack a toothbrush, toothpaste, or even a bed to sleep on. And imagine something worse, being homeless. That's difficult. I just want to say that when I was in training and sitting next to one of the trainers, listening to them interview one of the friends that we call them friends and not clients, he said to that person, well, what do you need today? And they said, well, all I really want is a roll of toilet paper. And I'm in my mind trying to figure out what color to paint my bedroom. That completely was an epiphany and put everything into perspective as to my purpose at St. Vincent de Paul. I want to share a case with you. We have many cases, but this is a short one. At the height of the summer heat, there was a veteran who was handicapped, and they called us saying that he was in stifling heat and had no air conditioner. We assessed our resources, and given that it was a Friday, they put it together and they bought a portable cooling unit and actually installed it in the man's home. So it was really great to increase his quality of life. Our main office is connected to the food bank, and each month we greet about 1,300 families, which is about 3,300 family members, requesting food, rent, utilities, and more. I've given you the handout to give a breakdown of what we do. Our conference has 35 volunteers, and we all work on a rotating schedule. We always safeguard the people that are spiraling down and try to catch them before they fall into a financial and mental crisis. Our main thing is to provide hope, and we never want to say we cannot help you. We're open 5 days a week from 12 to 4, and when our doors are open, we provide person-to-person contact with individuals who seek help. Our goal is to assist the less fortunate and those in a crisis situation. Like I said, we refer to them as friends. We guard their dignity and we protect their pride, and confidentiality is optimal. Our conference coordinates with our thrift store by fulfilling clothing and furniture vouchers that are requested during an interview. Just so you know that every penny spent at the store stays in our Sierra Vista community. Our operations are funded by grants and donations specifically designated for feeding the hungry and providing necessary safety net to avoid that spiraling down. Our focus is to improve the lives of each and every person we meet. And if we run out of funds, and we've actually reached out to local churches and other organizations who have come to our aid. Since COVID-19 has invaded our lives, we had to take precautionary measures and completely change the way we greet people. As I mentioned, in the past, they used to come in and we would sit with them in an office, face to face for the smallest request. Now a person has to be 6 feet away, they stand at the door, everybody has a mask on, we're kind of yelling back and forth, but we ask them, what can we do for you? Ask them their name, and if it's for something, rent or utilities or something that is not a food box, we take their name and their number and we ask them to please sit in their vehicle, and we will go inside and call the landlord or the utility company to connect all the dots and really assess what they need. So that's what they do. They come to the door. And I started using an analogy here, and as they're sitting in the car, they're judging the situation by an unsteady parking lot about their unsteady life, and they're wondering if we can help them or not. So giving you the basics, I want to ask you in a dire need. We really need a paved parking lot because the one that we had is completely roped off to take COVID precautions. And the other part where people have to park in is completely unsteady. Our friends are low income, many young families, some are mentally handicapped, physically handicapped with walkers, canes, and wheelchairs, and we're reluctant to put chairs outside because we don't have enough staff to be going out and sanitizing all the time, so we do have to take that measure. Our current parking lot is a pretty big hazard, and it presents a grave challenge for people facilitating a shopping cart just hauling the food box to their car. Their surface is large gravel, causing the footing to be dangerous. And as you heard earlier, we have many people, and on an annual basis, it's about 13,000 people that we serve, probably more, depending on the day and the time. We need to provide a barrier-free parking lot with an easy access to our door. We are aware of the American Disabilities Act and need a safe parking location for our friends. So in closing, we support the city's efforts to combat homelessness, and we'll always continue to do our part. And Good Neighbor Alliance, we love you. We call them, they help us if they can, and it's a great partnership. And so if you have any questions, I open the floor.
Well, first, thank you for that presentation, and I appreciate everything your organization does.
Thank you.
Having been on the as a member of the board of the Salvation Army, I know all the agencies work together to deal with homelessness and housing and all these other issues that are important for those that are less fortunate.
Yes.
And you guys have probably been doing it the longest in the community, so you do a great job, and we do appreciate that. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about the projects. Somewhere in the request, you mentioned sidewalks, and I will let you know that sidewalks are the responsibility of the people sitting up here.
Oh.
Okay, so
I am so happy to hear that, because I kept saying, are we sure the city
when we
doesn't
do sidewalks on Bartow, if it's in the right of way, which I believe it probably still is, that 4 feet is ours to fix. Okay.
That makes me
so
very
really,
happy.
really, what we're talking about here is, I went out and looked at your property the last couple of days. What we're really talking about is the unconcreted area to the east of your main entrance.
Yes, in front of our
In
connexes.
front of the area. And I got to tell you, as somebody who used to take the old man with a walker to different places, it is a rough surface, but there are a lot worse in the community and a lot worse, unfortunately, in some of the city properties as well that we need to address. It's difficult, but I think it's not ADA accessible, but I would say it was probably barrier-free is the phrase you used in the briefing and in your write-up. So I'd say it's probably barrier-free, but it's probably not ADA accessible to the extent that we would like. To include the corner there has got the old strips rather than the rumble strips, which is a new requirement for sidewalks. But again, that's our issue. So the challenge we have is the 32 grand to basically pave the parking lot.
We have, that's the only game in town. We've gotten an estimate from KENG, which is $1,000 less than that one, but I don't think that they do the, what is that wage scale?
Yeah, but I know David's making wages, but the thing you're looking at is you got basically raw dirt that's just been compacted with some gravel on it. Yeah. And really what needs to happen is a lot of it needs to be scraped, subsurface, and then pavement. So I'm not sure 32 is even enough. Having repaved the parking lot, help repave the parking lot at the University South a couple years ago. That was a tough road to hoe too.
Yeah, we're significantly higher.
It may be higher than that.
Yeah.
Is what I'm telling you, because if they do it right, they're going to have to scrape, compact, and then build up.
I'll request more. Do you want me
Well,
to?
I don't, I'm not asking you to ask for
Okay.
money. The problem we have is
I
we only
understand.
have so much.
All right, I understand.
Okay, and that's our,
Just thought
that's
I'd
our
push it.
challenge.
I thought I'd push it a
Yeah,
little.
okay. Any other questions? Why don't we start with, Greg, do you have something?
I have none.
Doctor? We good,
So
ma'am?
I just would add that you didn't bring up, but I would bring up myself, is that that area, I mean, I am over at St. Vincent de Paul off and on a lot, because I have the opportunity to be there in partnership with the organization quite a bit. And during like Thanksgiving time and Easter time and those times, the whole dirt is full of cars and other times food box distributions and
Lined up in the street, too.
and they're lined all over the street, and I think it's a needed thing myself, like paving that
Well,
as a needed
I
thing
don't-
myself.
Yeah,
But-
I'm not trying to say it isn't needed, because I think it is. Question is, how do we prioritize? That's the challenge we're gonna face.
I will, well, once we, I don't know if we're to that point,
We're
but,
gonna, once we get done asking questions, Ms. Fredericks will open it up for council discussion,
okay.
so.
I just would like to interject. We've entertained the thought of, matching funds, even if that's what it came down to. And we'd see what we could do as far as getting the portion that was needed.
I have a question.
Ma'am.
One follow-up. Does this estimate include making the sidewalk?
Yes, it
Oh, it
does.
does. So-
Actually, 29,
29,285.
So, yeah, if we took the sidewalk off and said the city needs to make the sidewalk,
Yeah,
then would that be less?
Or
I
keep it
mean-
on, just say the city did.
I didn't see it.
City needs to make
$3,200
the
for
sidewalk.
the
All this
sidewalk.
time we
There's a
thought we had
proposal there
to.
if you look.
this
Yeah, it's
$3,200.
$3,200 less.
$3,200
less, $3,200 less.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, y'all.
So that,
need-
we can use that in a future
It's under
discussion.
50.
Okay. I was
Looks
just
like
gonna
it
say,
don't matter.
that's
It would
not
be
your.
different.
Either way,
No,
we're
build
we're
side-
doing
That's our
it.
job to build the
Oh,
sidewalk.
the thing is, it may not be done on your schedule, though. That's the other thing you gotta realize.
That's true.
It's gonna be done on our financial schedule for the sidewalks.
Yes,
So-
that's understandable, and I
Maybe
know
we
you've
can
got a lot of projects
prioritize-
coming
Well,
up.
yeah,
So
that's,
she's saying,
Prioritize
So-
that sidewalk.
ma'am.
are you saying if we paid for the half the 29,000, you would be able to get matching funds? to
We
cover?
would certainly try. And that's just it. We've entertained the idea and we've been tossing it around. There's, like I said, 35 of us, and when we do our Zoom meetings, we hash out things, and everybody seems to come up with something and have really great ideas, so.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Rachel?
Yes, sir. I just have a couple, one of them is not actually a question for you, Pauline. But on any given time, I know Sarah mentioned the holidays, that it's really full, but on a normal day, I'll say, does your parking lot get full, or?
It can, on an average day, we see anywhere between 20 and 50 families.
Throughout
And-
the day?
Yeah,
That 12 to
between
4?
12 to 4, yes.
Okay, okay. And then I guess my question is probably for Chuck, or I don't know if Sharon's here, but I know Bartow is on our list to get to when we have the funds for that. Would something like this, would there be an issue with us redoing Bartow and them doing a parking lot? Would it bleed onto each other? Would it matter?
Mayor Mueller, Mayor Pro Tem Gray, ideally, doing a larger project of sidewalks would be, the preferable way to do it. Since we're not at that point yet to put that project together, plus the street work that needs to be done on
Yes.
Bartow as well, it would be better to do that as a project. So I think the best way for us to address their needs would be to look at the sidewalk and do whatever repairs we needed to do in the short run.
Well, actually, the sidewalk really isn't that bad a repair when you compare it to other sidewalks. However, it doesn't go all the way, if I remember right, it doesn't go all the way to the east to cover all the
There
property.
isn't a
We
sidewalk.
don't have
They
one
don't have
in
a
that parking lot at all.
It
They
doesn't
have a
go all the-
sidewalk on each side.
Side of it.
It's the
Yeah,
kind of
one side
corner.
belongs to Mr. Fix-It,
Yeah.
Billy, that property.
So
and
we'd
then-
have to take a look and see
Yeah.
what we could do.
But again, timing wise, obviously, there's a need now.
Yeah.
We're not gonna be able to finance the road and the sidewalk for probably the next couple of years at least. we can look at sidewalk repair, and then in the meantime, extension of sidewalk is another issue. But that's why I want to make the comment, I want to get the question answered about what really needs to be done in your request that you're responsible for, and that's the stuff that's not in the right of way. And we're responsible for the stuff that's in the right of way.
Got it. I understand.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to hear that. I really am. I can't wait to go back and make the report.
That'll save you $3,200.
That's a lot of money.
So I have another
Yes,
procedure.
ma'am.
So, Matt, this might be for you, it's in relation to them, but because the money will be dispersed later in the year, correct? If we were to look at partial funding, how long do they have to finish their project? Because like they said, they'd have to raise money to match it. So how long do they have to spend the money once it's awarded? Did that make sense? Am I making sense
We
today?
set the schedule with the annual action plan submission. We can go as far as 2 years.
2 years,
From the date
okay.
of approval.
Okay, thank you. That's what I
great.
needed to know.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. It's easy when you last. Everybody pretty much asked all the questions. I'm gonna just say between you and Good Neighbor Alliance, y'all pulled on some heartstrings tonight.
I'm telling you.
Two of the oldest organizations in Sierra Vista, helping the people, and two organizations that we desperately need in Sierra Vista, and we're proud and grateful to have y'all. Like the mayor was out there yesterday too, and it's needed. I'll agree with that. So thanks for coming
I
out.
love
tonight.
it. It's easy.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, now we get to
Have fun.
divide the baby.
Oh my gosh.
That's biblical reference, right, Father?
That is,
Solomon.
don't,
Mayor, I thought you might be
Father
conflicted,
Greg is
and this
scared.
may make it a little easier. I reached out to Tony Reed this morning, and we could potentially repurpose some of the CARES Act funding to cover the kitchen. Given that there are other agencies stepping up now to provide rental and utility assistance. So if you would like me to renegotiate the subrecipient agreement with United Way, to increase the budget for GNA to include the kitchen, we can do it that way. So not to complicate the consideration. but I
And you're
wanted-
talking the full amount of 18 grand,
it's 21,000.
I would,
21,000, excuse me?
They have 2,100.
They have 20, yeah, it's
Yeah,
18.
so we
for-
no,
need
they're asking
18,
for 18.
right. So.
Almost 19 grand.
Right, so, as you know, GNA has an existing allocation within the United Way budget, and what I'm proposing is taking $8K out of rental and utility payment assistance, and so I think that equates to about $1,200 a month through August reduction to go towards the kitchen project, and I believe they would be in a position to cover the balance with what's in their current agreement.
Doctor, what do you think?
We would be able to redo some of our budget to come close to that. If you could do 10K, that would make us happy. So we could certainly look at real.
I need to see this in writing.
So even at 10, 8 or 10, so that's money coming from the CARES Act, not CDBG, so the rest would, whatever we want to do.
It is
But the
CDBG.
CARES Act is CDBG.
Same, just
funding.
different pot.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it's,
There is
it
a
goes
nexus,
under
we
CDBG
believe, to
funding.
COVID response with the project.
Okay.
I didn't hear what you said.
But, oh, I was saying the CARES Act is CDBG funding.
Yeah.
Taking the money out of the CARES Act, isn't that gonna leave some people in the lurch? That's the way I look at
Well,
it.
question.
That was
I
my
mean,
original
you know.
concern, but remember, Seago now is offering rental and utility assistance. DES is also offering rental assistance. However, they're not as fast as St. Vincent. So that they have been the first stop for people needing assistance. So
And good
for
neighbor,
the
not St. You said
Those
St.
were not
Vincent.
in place when we
St.
started.
Vincent. He means St. Vincent.
did I say GNA?
No, you said
said
St.
St.
Okay.
Vincent. That's what you
They're
meant.
administering through the United Way grant, the rental and utility assistance program.
Yeah, we can go through them. Have you heard from Mr. Reed? What is the last update? How, is it all gone each month, or?
No,
What's
we
their
get a
status?
monthly
We're
report.
dispersing in equal installments.
Okay.
I believe it's up to about 24,000 or 28,000 now through a month through August.
Okay.
And that the latest was put in the report, in the original, for the council. Okay. The
And-
reports the city manager puts together every month.
Yeah.
And there's precedent for this. We funded something for an upgrade in the last report I saw, just not remembering what it was. That was a higher
Oh.
cost item,
The
freezers,
washer dryer.
washer dryer, that's what it was. So there's precedent to kind of do this.
Yes,
Okay.
okay. So,
Can I speak?
yes, ma'am.
Yes.
You got the floor.
I have the floor. Okay. I have said this before when this topic has come up, and we didn't get to do this last time CDBG funding came around because we didn't have the applications in front of us. We didn't have the availability. I mean, the purpose of CDBG funding is to benefit low to moderate income persons, prevent or eliminate slum and blight, or meet an urgent need, having particular urgency because of existing conditions, etc. I mean, the purpose of it, is related to expanding to decent housing, suitable living environment, expanded economic opportunity, and I don't feel like, spending it on the parks is meeting that need. I've never felt that way, and especially not the ball fields. I don't think that that's the target population for these funds. I don't. I've never felt that way. I said that last time, and I'll say it again. I don't, and so I want to fund both of these projects in full, and that would be my vote.
Okay, and that's despite the fact that the park improvements are in a low to moderate income area.
Who do they serve? Who's using the parks?
Everybody.
Eventually, that particular leg of the park, although it's gonna have parking in it, it also will have facilities for the folks that live around that area.
Eventually.
It's not just, well, again, if we had enough money to build the whole thing at once, we would. And we would probably look for other funds as well, but the only way we're getting it done is through supplementals. And that's the opposite argument of what you're saying. I appreciate the fact that you're saying as a standalone, putting it in a parking lot for the reasons that were stated by Matt, looks funny, to say the least.
And that's what we did with it last time.
We didn't fund the parking lot
We funded park improvements.
for a low to moderate income area.
And this is the extension of phase two.
And it had to be done in phases.
Yeah.
We knew that.
This is something
So,
that's.
This is an opportunity, and we put in our strategic plan that we wanted to impact homelessness, and this is an opportunity to do that. Take that opportunity. That's my thing.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I agree with Sarah. I think both of these projects have CDBG written all over them. I want to ask Matt, taking 51,000 away from the 271, how is that going to affect the Eddie Sear Park project? Both funds
Well,
equal $51,000.
We'd have to
current budget-
scale down the size of the parking lot to fit the budget, the revised budget.
well,
Can we,
you said that the two of them together is 51,
51?
minus the 15 that we've already put on the,
No, that's the total.
No, that's the total. There's no 15 already on the
No,
budget.
but we already allocated.
There's already
we have an
15 in the
allocation that
budget.
we're saying is gonna be spent tonight for 15.
Oh, gotcha.
On this item, so you'd have to subtract the 15
Sorry.
from that.
36.
36.
36.
So just taking
Math is
36,000
hard.
So
away.
what you're talking about is
So we're
is
asking to take
downsizing one project, excuse
36,000
me a
away.
minute. So what you're suggesting is that we take the money from the park project, fund both of these,
Roger.
okay? And then rescope the park project. That's what you're basically saying.
Yes, sir, and part of that comes from the last time we talked about the park, not making it all on the ball field, but we actually were gonna separate it and put some down where the, from my understanding, instead of all together, so everything went for Sear Field, it was gonna go for Sear Field and the park in the park area. I could be mistaken though. That was my understanding last time we talked about the parking lot.
There's a master plan for Eddie Sear Park.
Yes.
We are implementing the master
Okay.
plan, starting with the parking lot, which is the most immediate need based on the sports fields and the tournaments they're bringing.
So on that, can we budget that 34,000 or 36,000? Can we push that to year 3 of our 5-year plan for the CBDG funds? Because it ain't gonna all be done this fiscal year with these funds, is it?
No, well, actually, we're.
We were hoping to go out to bid this fall.
We're hoping to go out to bid next year,
Okay.
or next, so was it October, after October, to be able to do these projects.
Okay.
Okay? And that includes funding whoever we decide tonight to give the money to. But what I'm hearing from you, and correct me if I'm wrong, we need to take money away from the park project, add it to the two projects, local projects, and that, you said that comes up to what, 36,000
36,400
now.
minus
The
3,200, so.
the question is, well, it's minus 3,200 because we're doing the
33.
Yeah,
sidewalks.
so it's about 32,000, 33,000.
So let's say 33,000, okay. So what you're suggesting then is we take 33,000 away from the park project and provide it to answer both of these requests.
But we also can take
Roger,
8,000
but
from
we
the
can take 10
CARES
from
Act.
CARES Act.
So then, and if we do take 10, that was what I was getting to, if we take 10 out of the care, or reprogram 10 in the CARES Act, we're down to 2,300 from the Parks project.
Roger.
Just
So
like,
that's what you're suggesting.
seems really doable.
Well, I'm going to make the argument, you know, you're going to work on one parking lot in lieu of another parking lot. And I don't feel that that's the proper use of this money to begin with. We've got a master plan for this park. And I will advocate that the amount that Matt is asking for is the proper amount. We've got program services allocated according to staff recommendations to the tune of 15,000. Now let's just work that piece out instead of really spoiling a master plan that's already in the works. That's my argument. And this argument about helping the homeless by covering a parking lot, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. There may be issues, obviously. We want it to be compliant with ADA and all that fine stuff. But I don't know. I've agonized over this myself, and I'm going to go with the master plan as staff recommendation.
Can I make a statement?
Yes, ma'am.
In our strategic plan, in goal number 8.2, we said that we would identify partners and develop plans to address homelessness, mental health, and affordable housing where feasible. And we put it on hold. And it was supposed to be done in the next 2 years. And it is on hold. And that was part of our council-approved strategic plan. The goal was to identify partners. The partners need to come to us and tell us what they need. And they have identified to us what they need. Good Neighbor Alliance needs a kitchen, and St. Vincent de Paul needs help paving the surface. So they've told us what they need to complete their mission. It's not our job to tell them what they need. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it is our job to decide how we spend the public funds.
It is, but we have decided, we set this goal and we've never completed it.
Mr. Mayor, Aunt Helica's down
Yes,
there.
ma'am.
She's good. You
Sorry.
can't see her,
That's
so.
okay. No, I'd like to make a few comments. So thank you both for coming and everybody for coming. And I really love this handout. It's really great information, and I think that we should share it with more people, because I feel like enough people do not realize the services that are being offered. But going through the information and hearing the presentations given tonight with the Good Neighbor Alliance Kitchen, nothing's been done to it since 2005. Quite a few of us have been in there, and my family's been in there, and the kitchen is terrible. That thing's going to fall apart. And some of the different discussion about matching funds and things like that, I do feel that the thing that is most urgent, the thing that has the most priority, is the Good Neighbor Alliance Kitchen. And I do feel that following the various recommendations that are being made, that the allocated $15,000, I think, would be a great way to go ahead and take care of that, and maybe some matching funds or some contributions could come into that. I'm up for a fundraiser. And then I do feel like some of the information that we've learned tonight about the sidewalks and different things for St. Vincent de Paul, I think that's something that definitely merits further discussion in the future. And I think maybe it's something that it needs attention and it needs help. But I think it's something that maybe we can kind of follow up with in the future. It could be addressed maybe a little bit later on. And as far as moving funds around and stuff, that's something that I wasn't really prepared to talk about tonight. But I do feel that some of the different plans that are in motion, I feel like they should continue to be in motion, because a lot of thought and work were put into that. And so that's my thoughts.
Thank you.
Good.
The mayor tells you who to
Oh, I know,
speak.
but before me, you're all, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, William, you got anything to contribute?
I was just saying, I agree with Angelica on the fundraising stuff too. I applaud any business owner, any business in the Sierra Vista area listening tonight. You know what needs to be done. You can step up, show up. So, Mr. Pro Tem. Mr. Mayor.
Matt, would you step up and break the number? You were saying that we could take money from the CDBG CARES. Can you break those numbers so I can write them down, please? You said how they could be reallocated.
Well, I started by saying 8,000. That's the figure we discussed this morning.
Okay.
However, obviously, there's discretion. We can talk about increasing that to 10,000.
Okay. Well, let's just deal with 8, because
Okay.
that's, yeah. So I just want to make sure I'm understanding before I make a decision about what I'd like to see happen. If we take the 8,000 away, that's from their total budget for rental and utility assistance. And we do not feel that would be detrimental because we have other agencies.
Well, there are other agencies, maybe not as effective as
And
St.
that's my
Vincent,
concern,
but there
'cause they
is
are
money
fast.
flowing for that purpose through SEGO and through DES.
But it takes longer in a
Right.
lot of cases
So most people start with St. Vincent.
because they get it done really quickly. Yes, you do. Okay.
Chuck, you want to share some comments, or did you want to go first?
Well, go ahead.
Okay, just that I would also like to stick to the staff recommendation, and since there does have to be some fundraising on the part of St. Vincent de Paul, give them more time, ask them to, hopefully we would get more funds next year and have them return. That's just,
The amount, we'll get more funds, but the amount won't be any, won't
it was
be any
15
bigger.
last time. It was, no, that's what I mean. They would get their matching funds, come to us already having half, and we'd give them. That would be an idea.
So you're proposing to pre-approve for next
No.
Chuck, why don't you make your comments, and I'm going to see if I can sum up, and we can move on.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I think we can be helpful here. This is the first step of this process, so you still have time to, make the allocation decisions. Matt came to me, yesterday, I believe, with this thought on the CARES Act funding. So really what we need from you today is some general direction, not, we're gonna put 8,000 here and 10,000 here. If we have a good idea about what you want, let's say you want to try to fund both these projects, let us try to come up with some other ideas to accomplish all these things, and bring them back to you, with some different options. And then I think you can make, a better decision about how to go back, and we can look at, how we can rescope our project and different things. So, I think we can accomplish, what you all want to accomplish, if you just give us some time to make those recommendations.
Well, I appreciate that, Chuck, and what I'm gonna do right now is kind of try to recap what I'm hearing from everybody. And I think it's clear from the conversation that if we rank the projects, the Good Neighbor Alliance project would probably be on top. Obviously, it's more than the 15 grand. I think we probably could use some funds from the CARES Act to bump that up to the almost 9 grand that they need. Okay. The other thing I'm hearing is we agree with the St. Vincent de Paul folks that they got an issue that needs to be addressed. And unfortunately, we don't really have the money to do that unless we look at other projects. And I would ask staff to look at not only the park project, but also look at the housing and rehabilitation to see if we can come up with at least something to provide. And again, it's got to be spent in 2 years, so it needs to probably be at least half of the thing, because I don't know what your capacity is, and maybe you need to have a conversation with the good folks at St. Andrews or at St. Vincent de Paul.
Yeah, and there's an opportunity for a partnership there, if we, look at some sidewalk improvements at the same time, so.
Okay.
So there may be some ways to save some money here.
And then if we can agree to the guidance to Mr. Patuchek, we would ask him to come back to us at the next scheduled. When is the next scheduled? Is it
Meeting in April.
second meeting in April? To give us a plan that we can vote on or amend before we vote on it.
That would be what.
And that'll get us to about a 95% solution, I would hope. So we won't have to spend all night trying to split the baby, okay? Because we know they're all valid concerns for us. Okay? Is that a good consensus statement and guidance for the staff, everybody? We can live with it? Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate all the good discussion. Appreciate all the presentations tonight. And thank you again for everything you do for our community. We'll next move on to
Number 4, Mr. Mayor.
item number 4. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that Resolution 2021-017, Governor's Office of Highway Safety Grant Funding Contract, number 2021-405C-010, to purchase equipment to implement and facilitate Arizona Track CS, which is traffic and criminal software, be approved.
Second.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's been moved and seconded. Chief Thrasher, report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Arizona Tracks, which stands for the Traffic and Criminal Software, is an electronic forms management software program operated by the Arizona Department of Transportation. The system is used by law enforcement throughout the state to submit electronic citations, traffic crash reports, DUI affidavits, and other traffic safety-related forms directly from patrol vehicle mobile data computers. The Service Police Department intends to implement Arizona Tracks as the system will improve department efficiency in processing various forms and improve officer safety as officers will spend less time exposed on the side of the road. ADOT maintains the program, and agencies are responsible for purchasing patrol vehicle equipment, including driver's license scanners and printers. ADOT operates this free of cost to the agencies as long as we have the equipment. Service applied for and was awarded a grant through the Arizona Governor's Office of Highway Safety in the amount of $69,939 to purchase those in-car driver's license scanners and printers to implement Arizona Tracks. In addition, if we want to integrate this with Spillman to be able to populate our Spillman as well, I had to be reminded by my admin commander, we did receive a quote from Spillman for this already, in the amount of $22,256. We have a plan to use unexpended budget savings and RICO funds to fund that. And then it'd be about $3,000 a year maintenance on top of our Spillman to maintain that program. And that will help the efficiencies of our records clerks so they're not manually entering that into our records management system.
Yes.
With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Questions for the chief? Not any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. We now move on to call the public. We have one member of the public that would like to address us tonight, and is Mr. Greg Mountain. Greg, if you know the deal, I don't have to give you the 5-minute spiel. I think you're already aware of that.
It's been a few years,
It's been
Mayor,
a few
but I
years.
think I'll get the hang of it.
He needs a refresher.
I appreciate it. It's good to see everybody. It's like a little bit of a homecoming. It's literally been a few years since I've been back in here. I wanted to talk about the Economic Development Commission. I've long since advocated that the city, especially since it has money being spent on economic development, should have a group of interested and invested and engaged community members to help out with that process and to help fill in the gaps where council may have some. Here's why. Right now, just listening to this discussion, which is very lively, and I can't say that I miss any of it, but you're almost inspiring me to run again and kind of pick off a seat or two. But here's the thing. Your biggest problems that all of you are arguing about right now is a revenue problem. How do you have the resources to pay to solve the issues that are at hand? I think we can agree on that. That's simple math. You don't have enough resources to solve all the problems. So there's a couple ways that you can do it. You can either cut spending in one place and reallocate it, which is what I've always liked, or you can create wealth. And what I think the purpose of your economic development efforts is to create wealth. It's to create wealth in our community. It's to get people making more money, get better paying jobs, or to become entrepreneurs. There are very clean ways to get it done. And being in a military town with some of the resources we have available, they're here at our disposal. Every once in a while, including Tuesday, I tune in to hear what y'all have to say. And I hear the same buzzwords that I've heard for 6 years since I've been involved in this, to include the last 2 when I haven't. You talk about partnerships, but it's real easy to go back and check on some of those claims of partnerships by talking to the people you say you're partners with, and they don't hear from you. It's easy to go talk to some of the business owners in town that you say you talk to. You don't talk to them. So I think having an economic development commission helps bring that to you. You're busy. I get it. I've been in your seats. You're extremely busy serving the community. You have a lot on your plate to prepare for. Let others help bridge some of this. Right now, just in salaries and benefits alone, you're spending $750,000 in the last 3 years just on salaries and benefits alone for economic development. That's not counting your tourism efforts. That's not counting all the other efforts that go into this, which now inflate that to much, much more than that. And you've been doing this for 6 or 7 years. Here's what I propose. Right now in this city, you've got a number of organizations. And I know you can't really answer me, but I'll just ask it hypothetically. How many of you know who's on the PTAC or the VBOC or the SBDC or who our SBA reps are or who our small business office liaisons are for the Fort or for these other government agencies that are out here? Who is helping drive the nearly $5 trillion in spending that's going to take place in the federal budget to drive it to women-owned small businesses, minority-owned small businesses, service-disabled veteran small businesses, hub zone located small businesses, which we have right here in town? Those organizations are, and you're missing a group of people who can help bridge it all together. You got groups like the Chamber, and I'm not going to knock them too much, but I've taken this kind of stuff to the last 3 Chamber directors, got no play with it. They're not going to be very helpful. Y'all are taking the lead on economic development because you're taking taxpayer dollars and you're using it for economic development. Put a system in that will give you more tools, more expertise, more reach back into these other things to coordinate efforts. Stop wasting time. It takes years for some of these organizations or some of these new companies to get up and running. Right now, There were multiple contracts that were put out locally for things like putting new door locks on all of the buildings on Fort Huachuca. Somebody could have been doing that. That's money. That's money for businesses, for minority-owned, women-owned, service-disabled, veteran-owned people, if we can get them certified. There was another contract that was hauling cars from the border. There was another contract that was put out for, there's companies making millions on PPE, on COVID dollars. They're acting as brokers, and they're putting that money right back. Government's giving it to them, they're getting the PPE, and they're giving it right back to the government. And it's all for small businesses, and we can do it right here. I've got a couple things. I'll share them with you if you're interested. Albuquerque, El Paso, Tampa, Lawton, Oklahoma, military towns. They are churning out small businesses that are going after everything, to include work that we have here locally. And you have businesses like ours, my company. We're now in 5 states in less than 6 months. We're blowing up. We're going after things that are out of here, and we're rake hauling that revenue right back into this community and hiring people. I want your help. I don't want to fight with you, but I'm frustrated. You said we needed business people to come in here and fight for what they want. I'm telling you, you need this right now. And we can make it work. Give it some thought. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mount. We'll now move on to the comments and requests to council, and we start tonight with Dr. Landry. Surprised?
Today is a very special day.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
I'm fortunate to be married to my best friend, and today is our anniversary. And he has been an amazing person, believed in me when I haven't even believed in myself. Having a support system is super important. We really need one another in order to thrive and to help one another. Support systems, they have a positive influence on our physical and our mental health as well. Research shows that there's many positive benefits from having a support system, professional and personal support system. We have higher levels of well-being, better coping skills, and it can also reduce our depression, anxiety, and our stress. So there's that. And then March is a very lucky month at the animal shelter. The animal shelter is offering adoption specials through the end of the month. So dogs are $50 and cats are $25. And the best thing about the adoption fee is that it includes sterilization, the first set of vaccinations, the physical exam, and then the microchip too. So I mean, that's win-win. So definitely schedule an appointment and bring home your new best friend.
Thank you, Dr. Landry. Ms. Pacheco.
Thank you. That reminded me that I should make the plug too. Now I have to find it. Happy anniversary. Thank you, Mr. Mount, for your comments, and thank you to the nonprofits who presented today and for coming and for applying. The past couple years on council, we haven't had very many applications for CDBG funding, or they've been really small or not very well thought out or not put together applications. So, I mean, for me to have put together applications and real projects, I think was a good thing, and that's what prompted good discussion today. And then I just wanted to say that if you wanted something to get into the St. Patrick's Day spirit, this Saturday there's a group of folks that are meeting on Paseo San Luis and Avenida Cochise, and dressing in green at 10:30 in the morning and walking over to Paul's Pub, the only Irish pub in town, and having an Irish shindig and raising money for St. Baldrick's Foundation, which is a Irish hospital that helps kids with who have cancer. So, and wear green and raise money for kids with cancer and enjoy some Irish fun this weekend.
Thank you. Ms. Humphrey.
I have nothing.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Benny.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and happy anniversary, Miss Angelica and Keith. And I'm celebrating like 2-week anniversary of loving the best person in the world, and that's myself. So shingles has its thing too. Thanks, Mr. Mount, for showing up, and Father Greg, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you for being here tonight. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I felt like I had part of the opportunity to make sausage tonight. It's kind of ugly, and we're going to cut all different things up. but I think we accomplished something today with the 3 nonprofits that came here. I am still advocating for the staff recommendation on how these funds should be allocated. And Craig, thank you for your presentation today. I've been advocating for this when I ran 2 years ago and this last year when I won successfully. And I hope that when we bring this to the planning session that we can work out some things. Mayor and I have talked about my proposed ordinance, and it may look totally different, but I think we're moving towards that. And as I mentioned in our work session Tuesday, it's not to criticize, but to rather to enhance what the staff is doing, because we've got a lot of talent out there and we got to utilize it. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Madam Mayor Pro Tem Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I actually have a few things. So I'd just like to say, first of all, thank you to those who came and advocated for people in the community that aren't always capable of advocating for themselves. And I really do appreciate both St. Vincent de Paul and Good Neighbor Alliance for all the work that they do in our community. So thank you for that. And I know as someone involved with nonprofits and for a long time, resources are also always very scarce. So thank you. I also like to say thank you to, I'll get more formal, Dr. Rottweiler. It's usually JD, but I'll get more formal. Thank you for your presentation. And I think Cochise College in the city is an example. Craig was talking about partnerships that work, where both entities put in the work and collaboratively find ways to help us be successful. So thank you for that example. I also just want to say it looks like vaccination rates we're a good rate in the city, so I'm really proud of that. And I think for the most part, we're all vaccinated on council, which is yay. And then lastly, as I look forward to strategic planning, that's the next time we'll be meeting. And I hope that everyone comes very prepared and ready for as robust of a discussion as we had for $254,000 today. So I look forward to that. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to thank Dr. Rottweiler and the good father for being here and hanging with us. Great community leaders, and we appreciate your support and your counsel. Happy anniversary. It's been mentioned that St. Patrick's Day is coming up. I don't know, Chief, if we got, he's nodding his head. So if you're driving on the 17th, watch out for those guys with funny lights on the top of their vehicles. And please drive safely.
Day, so hopefully.
Yeah, well, it's a Wednesday, but,
I mean, you never
I'm
know.
part Irish, and I will tell you,
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, okay, and the other thing I want to talk about a little bit is, we're getting some confusion on masks with the governor's order across the city.
Yes.
The city's mask requirement is still in effect, and people need to be aware of that. As I've talked to you guys before, am daily looking at numbers, and at some point in time, I would anticipate that we will lift the requirement, or I should say, we will suspend the requirement, and if the things continue to get better, as it appears they will, we'll suspend the mask order permanently. So that's in the works, and I would, a timeline, I would say probably not more than several weeks to suspend, and of course, weeks after that to remove it permanently. Okay, so that's kind of where we are. The city manager's got a goal to have everything open by the 1st of April.
5th of April.
5th of April. Okay, I'm pushing for a week early though, but there are reasons why we have issues with the pool and why we have issues with the library, and we're working through those issues. So that's all I've got. If there's nothing else, thank you everybody for coming. Meeting's adjourned.